Yo, it's your boy I Ain't Cap, and this video is how I had the most points that I've ever had in a duos cash cup and 12 tips on how I did it. If you want to see my live gameplay, be sure to check out my streams. My Twitch is I Ain't Cap. My schedule is updated weekly and the link is in the description. So can we get 10 likes on this? If this video helps you at all, it'd be very helpful. Also, be sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss out on more content like this, and be sure to use code INCAP in the item shop. It helps us creators out a lot. And if you're looking to play customs or just looking for people to play with, be sure to check out my Discord. Link is in the description as well. So this specific game, I clutched a top 5. There are 2 cash cups left, and I want to give you tips on how to do your best in these last 2 cash cups. We have one this Wednesday, I believe, and then we have one next Monday. But then we also have the FNCS Community Cup where you can get that really nice skin on Monday as well. So I just wanted to let y'all know that you can use these tips for that tournament too. And then we also have Consoles Champions Cup coming up, and then Last Chance FNCS. So there's a lot of tournaments left. You do need diamond for the Last Chance FNCS, so make sure you get diamond. I hit diamond today, and you can see that on my TikTok or my YouTube shorts. TikTok is INCAP as well. But let's get right into it. So the number one thing that you are going to want to focus on, this is the absolute number one thing that you are going to want to focus on if you want to do well in all of these duos tournaments, is you want to make it a goal to make as many end games as possible. Now these tournaments are scheduled 3 hours long. If you do the math, each game is no longer than 25 minutes, and if you get good queue time, you can get to 7 end games. Now, the reason why making end games are so important is because you get way more placement in the end game than you do in the early game. So I mean, you could go for a lot of kills, but you want to make sure you're taking smart fights, and when you are in those fights, you need to monitor and make sure you're taking good peeks, and you don't want to like put yourself in bad positions early in the game. So that means you will get 7 end games, which means you will get approximately 3 throwaways. The best time to die in those throwaways are right on spawn. You don't want to die in the middle of the game right before you start getting placement, and right after. You don't want to die you want to die right on spawn is what I'm saying. Like, if you're gonna die, make sure you're alphaing up, you're getting the best loot you can get. And if you die, it's just because you got contested. And if you're getting overly contested, then make sure you have spots where you can reroute around your area so you can at least make the end game. So tip number 2, this is also very important, and I feel like a lot of people don't realize this, and I think this was something that me and my teammate didn't realize in a previous tournament that wasn't this one. Is the number 2 tip is easy lobbies versus stacked lobbies. Now in your first game, it is very likely that you're gonna get an easy lobby. When I say easy lobby, I mean it's gonna be dead, which means a lot of people are gonna be dying early. That it's not gonna be a lot of people left towards the end of the game. A lot of people may not be on your skill level. This video, these tips can be for anybody at any skill level. But with that being said, a lot of times you get a lot of people in your lobby that are random. You might have people above your skill level, but just know your first game, if you want to fight, that's probably the best game to do so. You can also fight in other games that are dead. Say if you're not getting a lot of points, and you like dying early, like you're in your 3rd game and it's still like only 20 minutes going by, you're probably gonna get an easy lobby, more than likely. A lot of people like to use the strat where they start 6 to 10 minutes late, so you can get an easy lobby. You can do that strat. However, me personally, I don't like doing that because I want to make sure I get as much time as possible, and then I am also streaming, so I want to make sure that I'm like putting out content on my stream as well. So there is a tip where you can start late to get easier lobbies. A lot of people do that, but yeah. So another thing is knowing the difference from an easy lobby, which I kind of just covered, but I want to go more into depth. So you can pay attention to the leaderboard. You can go on the Fortnite competitive website to see what qual currently is, and you can just go to the leaderboard in your menu and see what top 100 is and stuff like that. In cash cups, you need to know what top 50 is, by the way. I'm sorry, so top 100 won't do it for that. But there are other tournaments where top 50 isn't really required because there's multiple rounds, such as the Consoles Champions Cup. So just keep that in mind as well. With all of that being said, you will know, like, if you have like a 10 kill win in your first game, you better expect people to be taking it more serious. It's going to be a lot more people at your skill level, and I would not suggest W King. I would suggest playing for the end game because, like I said before, you're going to get most of your points from making end game. So number 3, and the rest of that, surge versus no surge. So in those stacked lobbies where you do well and then you get like a stacked lobby, better people in your lobby, people playing for the end game, expect surge. So there's a way where you can just like take far AR tags, whether you're boxed up or whether you're like rotating, and you're not actually looking to fight. You just want to stay above that damage threshold, because if you aren't, surge is very mean. So let's move on to tip number 3. Tip number 3 is winning on spawn. This would be number 1 if number 1 and number 2 weren't just like analytical tips. This is more like physical tips, like part of the game. Like, you want to win on spawn. This is the first thing you have to deal with when you're landing, is your drop spot. You want to make sure you know your drop spot and you know how to out drop everybody around you for your drop. You want to pick a drop and you want to stay committed to it. Don't worry if you think your drop is overly contested. That changes game to game. Me and my duo had a drop spot. My teammate had a drop spot where we really didn't think we would get contested like that, but sometimes it's way overly contested, and we have spots where we reroute to, where if we don't think our drop is going to be safe, we just land on the outskirts and get shambles loot. It's okay to have a shambles game because at least you making it off spawn. With that being said, you can make a drop map by searching YouTube on how to make a drop map, or you can pay someone to do it. Most of the time there's like people charging $5 for a drop map, so you can do that. And then you want to practice in scrims, practice in pubs, or practice in ranked, just like getting that drop right, being on the same page with your teammate, your duo. And then you want to make sure that you do that enough to where when you actually go into the tournament, you are confident and you know what you're doing. I have a creator code, so I can just go in with just me and my teammate, which is pretty cool. We can just go over the drop spot, practice the drop map, knowing the loot path. Loot path is important. You want to make sure you include as many things as possible to get you the best loot as possible. However, you don't want to greed it, so if it's available, go for it. If it's not, then don't go for it, which leads me to the next topic. And what a coincidence, in this video you will see exactly what tip number 4 is: knowing when to back off. So right here, I was able to get a good beam on the people who were going for the same cash as us. We had the same cash, and there was another team to our side. Right here, I'm just like, me and my teammate aren't together. I'm not really sure why we weren't together. You want to be together. But right here, I'm like, it's just gonna be really impossible to make anything good out of this. My teammate starts taking a lot of damage, and in my head, I'm like, well, we started off pretty good, and then we had two or three games to where they weren't really the best. I just wanted to make it to end game, so right here, I'm just sitting here analyzing the situation. As you can see, my teammate ends up getting into another fighting situation. I went over there because I wanted to help him. I start trying to fight this team, and I notice I'm using a lot of mats, and eventually in this situation, it was just meant for me to dip out of here. I'm just gonna be talking over and over about this. So there we go. He gets knocked. I didn't want to just skip forward. I wanted you to see everything that happened. And then once he gets knocked, they're still fighting, and I just decide to dip. So I just fully dip out of this situation. I'm getting shot at here. I know how to build off. Like you can build off to make sure people can't shoot you. I'm just looking to make sure they're not following. But yeah, more on this is you can look for fights in easier lobbies, but you still want to play for end game, because if it's an easy lobby, end game kills will be easy. So tip number 5, with all of that being said, tip number 5 is going to be pretty simple, and you would probably think it's obvious, but you want to make sure you have a good loadout. Whether if you're going to be going for kills or you're going to be playing for the end game, you need to make sure you know exactly what you want to carry. Specifically, I say play scrims, because when you play scrims and ladders, you will be able to see what things help you and what things aren't really that helpful. Now, if you made it this far, I'm going to give you the loadout that I think you should be carrying for making end game. Like I said, making end game is the most important thing. So this is what you should carry for making end games. You should definitely carry a Havoc pump. If you like the sharp tooth, carry it. If you can't find anything other than the sharp tooth, carry it. I don't suggest the lever. I don't suggest the drum unless it's the mythic drum. With that being said, Havoc pump would be your shotgun, and then you want to carry a spray weapon. Now in those stack lobbies, you're gonna want to carry an MK, and if you can't both find an MK, then I think the pistol or the combat SMG are easy for me to aim with. Either way, you want to make sure you carry a spray weapon, especially in stack lobbies, just in case you need surge. But you want to carry 3 heals. Now the heals that I suggest that you and your teammate carry for the next upcoming duos tournaments, the build mode. This is build mode. The next upcoming duos tournaments, you should be carrying 3 slots for heals, both players, and it should be the slap splash. So if you can both have 6 slap splash, that would be ideal. And then if you could both have 2 slurps, and then you can both have either med miss, minis, or big shields. The reason why the splash is so important is because it's very mobile. Like you can use it on the go. And now look at this team right here. Now just watch and see what they do. We not gonna pay too much attention to that, but they just do something like right there how they left. Now if me and my teammate was sitting in the bush right here, we could both like go for a beam because they are not together. That just shows you what type of lobby this is. We're gonna get back to that in a second, but anyways, let's keep it pushing. The heals that you need to carry, if you can't get slaps, then you want to carry med miss. If you can't get slap splash, the splash, you want to carry med miss. Med miss is very important because in the end games, if you're in the storm, you can still run while you take heals. So that's important. With that being said, we're gonna go ahead and go to number 6. Number 6 is getting ahead of everyone and seeing where the zone is going to pull. So a lot of times the zone keeps pulling in one direction. My best suggestion for you is getting in the middle of the 5th zone. Me personally right here, I'm solo, so me getting into the middle of the 5th zone may not be as easy, especially considering where I have to run from. So I'm just using which tip number 7 is using bushes and buildings and making sure you check them by just, you can aim at bushes most of the time, and if a red marker comes up, then you know that they're in there. You could just shoot it if you want, making sure anyone's in there. And buildings, you can just pickaxe, replace walls, look behind right hand peaks, and see if anyone's in the building. With that being said, those are tips number 6. Like I said, I'll repeat tip number 6. You want to get ahead of everyone, and this applies to any type of game, the easy lobbies and the stack lobbies. You want to get ahead of everyone, so you don't want to waste too much time on spawn looking for like the perfect loot. You get a shotgun, you get a spray weapon, you get your heals, and you keep it pushing. But your IGL should know spots on the map where you can go and get more loot if you don't have the best loot. Me personally, I am an IGL, so I pretty much know the map like the back of my hand. With that being said, number 7 was using bushes and buildings, making sure you check them. You see right here, I'm checking this bush, I'm making sure no one's over here, and I'm going into the bush because I really don't have an option but to bush camp because I'm solo, and me just fighting a team with the loot that I have, the mats that I have, just doesn't seem ideal. So tip number 8, you want to stay with each other on rotates. As you just seen, that team that I was looking at in the bush a few minutes ago, they weren't together. They could have been an easy beam. I'm telling you, me and my teammate have eliminated players all the time because they weren't together. If you aren't together, I'm telling you, even looking to just pickaxe some brick or open a chest can be risky. This is why you want to stay together. You don't want to venture off on the rotate. You want to make sure you ask your IGL, is it okay if I stop to get some wood, or I see a chest I want to get, is it okay if I get it? And then the IGL can be like, oh yeah, I'll come with you. That's just to prevent getting focused. With that being said, you rather be together if one gets beamed than be separated, because it's that much harder to help. Like if you want to heal your teammates with you, they can hold while you heal, like hold the walls. If they're not with you, then it's going to be hard for them to do that. Tip number 10, this is a lot for IGLs, which if you don't know what IGL is, it's in-game leader. It's basically the person, the team captain, the quarterback, the point guard, whatever you want to call it. That's what IGL is. They making the calls. They're the on the court coach, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that you want to make sure that your tarping is up to par. You can build off people on rotates, and you know how to initiate refreshes. Now, really, the fraggers should be very good and confident for going for refreshes. I suggest the fragger or the person with the lower ping run pre-edits on, because pre-edit plays are really underrated and they're very helpful. As you can see right here, me making it to the zone, it's gonna be very difficult. However, we ended up making it happen. You don't want to end up in these situations, but when you do have to solo clutch, sometimes you need a little luck on your side. And me personally, I got a little lucky. You see I had Icy Slide that actually saved me. Icy Slide saved me, so you want to make sure that you are using good augments as well as part of your loadout. I forgot to mention that, so there you go. But yeah, so the next thing is you also, in tip number 10, like I said, tarping, building off, going for refreshes, but then you want to practice getting on high layers for endgame, because you don't want to be on a scuffed low ground layer. However, people that are scuffed and you want to go for refreshes are usually on the low ground. With that being said, we're gonna go ahead to tip number 11. Tip number 11 is going to be very helpful. You want to practice your aim in creative as much as you can. If you are on PC, you have Kovacs, you want to always grind your aim, because that's going to make getting eliminations a lot easier for you and your teammate, because you're going to be able to pretty much get the knock when people aren't together and you go for 3-2-1s. You also want to practice 3-2-1s because you want to make sure you're in sync, and you want to make sure you're doing the best amount of damage possible, because if you don't, then it's just going to turn into a long drawn out fight and you're probably going to have to deal with third parties, which you don't want to deal with. And tip number 12, which probably could be boring for a lot of you, but I strongly suggest doing it, is by reviewing your gameplay after the tournament. Like I said before, there are a lot of tournaments still in the season, even though the season is winding down. We got 2 more cash cups, we got the last chance FNCS, we got the FNCS Community Cup, and we got the Consoles Champions Cup. So you got plenty of time to VOD review these tournaments, see what you can do better, and then you can also VOD review your scrims too. Like I said, I ended up getting a top 5 in this game, solo clutch. Top 5 is really what you want to aim for. You will get eliminations in those easier lobbies, like I said, and you will get eliminations in endgame. The amount of eliminations that you can get, along with 7 top 5s, you can get a decent amount of eliminations, like maybe like 20 eliminations, because it's 2 points per elim, I believe. So you don't need a crazy amount. You just want to make sure you're getting like at least 2 elims a game and making top 5 7 of those games. If you do that, there's a high chance that you qualify for the finals, and you do good in all your other tournaments as well. But yeah, it's your boy I Ain't Cap, and I really hope that I was able to help you all. Hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to like and subscribe again, and I'm gonna go ahead and slide. I'm out. Peace.